Hey, what's up guys? I'm Chesapeake. This is Chesapeake Hammock and Outdoors. And this video is just kind of look at the loadout I'm using this weekend. I have a 3-day car camping trip with my Girl Scout troop to our troop camp that we have here on the eastern shore of Maryland. So me and my wife are set up in our hammocks, and the girls were supposed to stay in the shelters down here. So we're close by, real close to the car. Give you a real quick look at what's going on around. Here's the main building up here, the lodge. So we're real close to everything, but got a beautiful spot here, tucked away, right off the trail, right behind the girls' cabins. Got down to about 40 degrees last night. So I'll show you the rigs we got set up here. Start with mine first. I've got my Appalachian hammock slash ripstop by the roll camo hex tarp here. The suspension, I've got a split suspension. It's got some olive green reflected. And then a line lock 3, and then a micro beaner here. And always when you're doing this, you want to make sure that it's running straight off the side of the tree and not bent, putting undue stress on your lines. Same thing with your hammock suspension. Coming straight off the side of the tree as you can. Kind of moved a little bit, but you never want to have it on the opposite side of the tree, so you're putting all that stress on your strap. I've got my camouflage Dutch straps here with the titanium toggle. So nice and lightweight, but we're car camping, so it doesn't matter really. And then here's the tarp. I seam sealed this tarp all myself, and the way I did it was I took one of those syringes that comes with children's, Tylenol or whatever, and I sucked up the seam sealer, laid the tarp out flat in my basement, spread it out, a couple inches at a time, and then impregnated the right down into the seam. So it got all the way in there, really deep. So that's a good way to do seam sealing instead of using the brush and it gets messy. This way was so much easier, and it got all the way down into the threads and all the way up into here with the seam sealing when I seam sealed this tarp. So moving on down, I brought my XLC out of retirement for the weekend, which I like for car camping because it's got the shelf, so I can throw all my junk in there. I can throw my, last night I had my Kindle in there, my earbuds, my flashlight, my Crocs were in there. All that kind of junk lives in the shelf. I brought my 40-degree hammock gear Econ Phoenix. Kept me nice and warm last night, even though it was kind of close to its rating. It held really well. Inside, I used my 20-degree Sierra Madre Puffle, and if you haven't seen this quilt before, it's a multifunctional quilt. It has snaps on the back or on 2 of the long sides, so you can make a foot box. Each of the ends has a draft collar. Oh, here it is. Each of the ends has a draft collar and an end cinch, and then you have hardware on each of the corners. You've got a cord lock, and here's the end cinch, and each corner also has a D-ring. And for the D-rings are for this hidden pocket right here. Inside this hidden pocket is underquilt suspension, so it can also be used as an underquilt, which is really neat. So I used it in top quilt mode last night. I have the 20-degree Puffle and they have them in several different, I think they have 20, 40, and I think there's another one. They have down and synthetic. I've got the green and gray, and since it's synthetic, it's the Puffle Vegan, because it's not down, so it's the Puffle Vegan. Even though I'm not a vegan, this is the Puffle Vegan. It's a really, really awesome multifunctional quilt. A little on the expensive side, but it's super soft, and I think the multifunctionality is definitely worth it. And I guess comparatively, it's not expensive, but it's not a budget item, that's for sure. But it kept me super warm last night. Actually, it was too warm. I fell asleep not wearing it because I was too hot. And then a little modification I did to my XLC. I added extra long fluorescent orange zipper pulls, because if you haven't ever seen an XLC before, the zipper terminates really far back by the head here. So my head is usually about right here, and the zipper pull is way back here. So I added this really long orange piece of paracord, so when I reach up in the night, I can find it really easily. And then I've just got my table here, my little Walmart collapsible camp table for my had my breakfast this morning from the hammock. Just got my my stove there with my GSI cup, my GSI, I think this is the Java drip. Got my 12-ounce Kuxa from Uberleben, the Uberleben spoon, and the koozie I made out of Reflectix, some Reflectix and some aluminum tape, and that fits in my mug. But the lid also fits on top of the koozie, or on top of the Kuxa, to keep my coffee warm. So I've got that. And then something I tried out this weekend, instead of trying to measure coffee out and put it in bags and stuff like that, I just used the Keurig cups. Brought a couple of those, you know, even though they take up a lot of room, or a lot more room than coffee in a bag, it's exact amount I needed, and nice little container, and I can just chuck it on the way out. So that's what I've got over here. Here's my rig. The other day I was bored and it was really sunny out, so I used a magnifying glass and burnt this into the table. The things you do when you're bored, right? So there's my rig. And then I got my wife right here in the Warbonnet Superfly, the same tarp I use for my hammock hot tent. It's got the dual internal pole mods. Give you a look inside here. You can see how much, just really how much room you get with those pole mods. You got the hammock gear daisy chain webbing straps with the hammock gear buckles. Continuous loops into the hammock gear zippered bug net hammock. Let me pull this net back here. Didn't need to use the panel pulls because it really wasn't windy at all. There was a little breeze when we got here, but it wasn't bad, so she didn't need to use the panel pulls. And really, with the pole mods, you really don't need it for car camping or anything like that. But if I was backpacking, I probably wouldn't bring the poles, and I could use the pull outs with my trekking poles. So anyway, we've got the hammock gear zipper bug net hammock, my snug pack underquilt. This is the first underquilt I've ever got. It's like 5, 6 years old now. It's got the modifications I did to it, where I added the end cinch, some shock cord in here, and then I added a secondary suspension. So you got the primary suspension that runs all the way around through the top channel, and then the secondary suspension just loops through this loop into a cord lock on both sides, just like, you know, your standard regular underquilt that you might find at a cottage from a cottage vendor. So I can actually adjust it and dial it in a lot better than this stock snug pack suspension. And then inside of her hammock, so you can find the zipper pulls. You got these nice glow-in-the-dark zipper pulls. Inside of her hammock, she had the Hammock Gear 40-degree Econ burrow, but it's inside right now. And then the peak loft there, and just a regular hanging light. So that's the rig my wife used last night. You can get a really good shot of all the room here. I mean, you could even pitch this really low and use it as a tent instead of a tarp. Well, I guess it'd still be a tarp, but I've got a piece of Tyvek that I could put down that's the same size as this roughly. And then with the hot tarp in, or the hot stove in there, it'd just be like having a hot tent. So that's our rigs for the weekend, and I'll show you what packs I brought. All my gear fit into my Helicon Tex Matilda. I've done a past video, loadout video that showed all my stuff packed in this pack. It doesn't come with it, but I added on the Helicon Tex Bushcraft line E and E pouch. So you got a nice pouch here with molly webbing and PAL straps on the back. You got buckles for a strap, maybe if you want to put it over your shoulder. Inside you've got pockets on the 3 sides. And you've got some hook and loop there, so you can put, you know, whatever you want on it. So you got a nice extra pouch here. It's super strong material, nice stitching. I mean, it's worth the money. You got a nice leather Bushcraft line patch on here from Helicon Tex. And then if you're not familiar with it, this is kind of like a modernized take on the medium Alice pack. So you've got your 3 pouches on the outside here. On the bottom you've got your webbing there, your molly loops, and then your waist belt and your lid. Inside the lid you've got a pocket on the outside with really nice zipper pulls. There's rubber around here. You've got a mesh pocket on the inside of the lid. You've got a dual draw system here, so it extends a little bit if you need it to. And you've just got one big pocket inside. I added a pouch from a side plate carrier from Ballistic Vest inside here to give an inside pouch if I want to put stuff in. And then I've got my bladder there. I think it's a 1.5 liter water bladder. So all my stuff fit in here with a little bit of extra room. Got nice thick padded straps. You got some padding back here with some breathable mesh. You got molly loops on here. On the bottom you've got four more loops if you wanted to attach a bedroll or whatever on the bottom. So that's where I packed all my gear for the weekend. And then for my wife, she used my 70 liter plus 10 cheap 30-degree Amazon pack that I've had for 5 years now, and this pack will not die. Surprisingly, I mean, I just bought it. I had gotten out of camping and hiking, and I started to get back in it again when I got into hammocks, and I wanted just a cheap pack to tide me over. And I got this pack, and it's still going strong. I mean, it is bare bones, just your typical cheap Amazon pack. You know, I fit her entire rig in it, all of her clothes, and she had a lot of clothes for 3 days. And plenty of room afterward, you know, left over. So that's that. That's the pack that I had her in there. And then just a neat idea, I just took some bank line, put a loop in the end, and then I've got a Marlin spike hitch and toggle to hang our packs off the tree to keep them off the ground there. So yeah, that's the rig, the setup we had this weekend. Out here in the woods, doing a little camping at our Girl Scout, our troops, our service unit, whatever you call it, our camp that we have. You've got the shelters over there. We're right on the Elk River here in Maryland, which is at the head of the Chesapeake Bay. I live on the western shore at the head of the bay, and we're on the eastern side, eastern shore at the head of the Chesapeake Bay. So that's where we're at. If you look at a map, there's a peninsula in the middle. I'm on one side and the camp is on the other. That's where we're at. So we're right on the water. We got kayaks, canoes, lots of trails, lots of screaming girls, which is, you know, kids. We're having a blast. So I'll give you a quick close up here again for my the lines that I use on this tarp. The way I have it rigged is I've got some reflective shot cord loops here off of the D-ring, and then it comes into a line lock hook with a loop on the end. That way when I skin the tarp in my Hammock Gear Xenon snakeskin, the lines detach. So this will just unhook from the tarp and I can keep it separate and it won't get all tangled up. But at the same time, it's close enough to the tarp to where if I needed to adjust it in the rain or whatever, I'm not, you know, I don't have to get out and mess with it at the stake. If the stakes are pitched far out, the adjustment point is really close to the actual tarp, so I can do it from inside. So if you're thinking about a way to adjust your tarp, these are really cheap, you know, and you got some really good adjustment. It's a sil nylon tarp, so when it rains and gets wet, it does tend to stretch. So I've got shot cord here, so I can really get a good intentioned and still have some adjustment. And then my ridge line is olive green reflective, I think it's reflected, maybe? Yeah, olive green reflected for the lines, and then this is just black reflective shot cord. So that's how I have everything set up for the weekend. If you guys have any questions, any comments, you know what to do with them. I do want to give a huge shout out to Bigfoot Bushcraft. It's a company that contacted me the other day, and I just started a partnership with them. So if you go to their website, Bigfoot Bushcraft, and you use the coupon code Chesapeake, well, at checkout you'll get a 15% discount on your entire order. So that's Chesapeake at Bigfoot Bushcraft. They've got some really huge, and I mean huge, ferro rods. You know, they got a nice wooden handle on it, real thick, nice ferro rod. They have fire starters that are, I don't know what they're made out of, but you can dunk it in water and it'll still light. They're called fire plugs. So you can get a 50 pack, a couple different sizes, and they also have a nice tin that they can come in. So that's Bigfoot Bushcraft. Check them out, guys. Use the code Chesapeake for 15% off your entire order. So I'll be doing a video on those soon when my samples arrive to check them out. And then I'm going to be doing a video, a giveaway here soon. And I'm going to include some of their merchandise in the giveaway. And it's going to be a huge giveaway. just let me tell you, I'm not going to say what's going to be in this giveaway, but the winner is going to be pleasantly surprised. I'll tell you that. So stay tuned, guys. I've got a lot of cool stuff coming here now that it's getting nicer weather out. Got a lot of cool gear to test out, and we're going to do a giveaway soon. So tell your friends and pass this around if you like my channel. So I'm Chesapeake Camping and Outdoors, and I'll see you guys next time.